Hiya, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
You want to go do a podcast?
Sure.
Jump in.
Ladies and gentlemen, cats and capybaras, secretary birds of all ages, and everyone else, welcome to Binging Barbie. I'm your host, John, and with me I have my co-host, Meow Jay. Don't know what kind of meow that was. Meow. It's too early. It's too early
Yeah.
for this. Anyway,
This is
this
the
is a
earliest
podcast about.
record we've done in a while.
Oh yes, in years, something like that. Ugh.
Yeah.
Too early. Anyway, this is a podcast about toy media franchises, 2000s nostalgia, and whatever else we want to talk about. And this week we are here to talk about the most recent feature from Gins Zibelotus, Flow.
Yeah. Flow. This
Flow.
was released May
Flow.
22nd, 2024 at the Cannes Film Festival, major film festival. Of course, directed by Gint Zibelotus and written by Zibelotus and Matis Kaza. Interesting that he is collaborating with someone else on the story here after his previous feature, which he did entirely by himself. But Kaza is a writer who has worked on documentaries before this. And we have music by Zibelotus and Ricard Zalupe, who is a Latvian composer. Yeah, interesting. We'll obviously get into that in the discussion, but we do have a bigger team working on this one, quite a bit bigger than his previous feature.
Yeah. And as the story goes in this film, a cat finds itself running from a flood that slowly overtakes its home. It retreats to the top of a giant statue as the waters creep up, but is rescued by a capybara, which has found a boat. At one point, the cat falls out of the boat, but is rescued by an ancient whale-like creature. The two strange traveling companions are soon joined by a lemur and a dog. And while stopped on the island, the cat is threatened by a flock of secretary birds. And one of the birds moves to protect the cat, but has its wings broken by the leader of the flock. Unable to fly, the bird joins the group of animals in the boat. The bird begins steering the boat through an ancient city and towards a collection of jutting peaks. And on the far side of the city, a group of rowdy dogs join the boat, disrupting the social dynamics. The boat ends up in the middle of a big storm, and the bird flies away towards one of the giant peaks. And the cat jumps out and follows, climbing to the top to witness the bird ascend to heaven and disappear into a column of light or something. And the rain stops, and the floodwaters begin to recede, revealing a lush jungle of algae and forest and stuff. And the cat finds the boat stuck in a tree, and the capybara unable to get out. And with the help of the lemur and the dog, the cat rescues the capybara. The group celebrates, but the cat hears a strange noise. It finds the whale, which has been beached by receding waters. They all look sad, and then the film ends.
Yeah, this is another one. Much like Away, this is a film without any dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's similar and also very different to Away. Like, this is also a story of survival in this journey across this strange land. But this time around, we don't have anything that the characters are running from, and the end point
No.
of the journey doesn't become apparent until like 30 or 40 minutes in. Instead, we're spending a lot of time on the social dynamics between the animals as this boat is getting more and more citizens in it, and they are having to interact with each other.
Yeah. We're also seeing a lot of like our main character, the cat's like journey of learning how to survive by learning how to swim, learning how to catch fish, making new friends, being more trusting, and the like. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Zio Belotis himself has talked about how, since Away was kind of a representation of his own process of making the film by himself, then the story here of the cat learning to work with others is kind of a representation of his experience now working with a big team, or bigger team,
Hmm.
not a massive team for an animated film, but a lot more people working here and having to learn the different dynamics of how to work with other people. Um, so yeah, we have this group of disparate animals learning to work together and also learning to care for each other.
Yeah,
Especially the cat and the lemur. They have sort of the biggest arcs in terms of going from more selfishly inclined to then caring more about the group.
right. Yeah, yeah. The capybara is like the one who kind of has like the least to learn from the beginning. He's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm gonna rescue everyone and everyone." It's like, "Come on, join the boat. I don't want you to die in this flood. Come in." And then the bird,
Which
after
yeah.
being attacked, has to learn to trust again, where the cat is the only one it trusts, and it listens to the cat when the cat's like, "Come on, we can't let them die. Come on."
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting the way we're getting such clear characterizations of these various animals without any dialogue or anything to indicate that kind of stuff. It's all done visually. And I mean they are playing into sort of the perceptions people have of these animals, of cats being very mercurial and dogs being very friendly and capybaras as like a very chill animal.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you ever interacted at all with capybaras in real life?
Not in person, no. I've seen
Okay.
videos.
I have actually pet capybaras before. There
Oh,
was in the jungles near where we lived, there was this say animal sanctuary for like injured animals, and they ran like I'm going to say zoo, but that will give people the wrong impression because it was like the enclosures weren't particularly enclosed. It was more just like little fences, and then you would walk into like you could walk up and pet the capybaras. And I don't remember much about the capybaras, unfortunately. I was more interested in the tapirs and the caiman. Got bit by a monkey.
oh,
Good time. Didn't break
good
the skin.
times.
It was a playful bite.
Sure. Like my
Yeah, I
cats when
should
they
see.
bite. Yeah.
Yeah, I should see. I think I still have my parents still have pictures of my sisters and I with the capybaras.
I think there's capybaras at a local petting zoo somewhere here, so maybe I'll
Yeah,
visit them someday if I want
they're
to.
very
Yeah.
chill animals,
Oh yeah.
very friendly. You of course have interacted a lot with cats.
Yeah. I yes, I have grown up with cats. I've had many cats over the years. Uh most of my cats in my lifetime were rescues, in that I just stumbled upon a cat and took it home multiple times growing up. So, yes, I was the cat taker. So,
The
yes,
catnapper.
the catnapper. Yeah. Where I was, cats, there was like a local park that we would go to that if people didn't want their cats anymore, they just drop it off at the park. And like
Oh,
there was like a whole small little colony of cats, and I would like go there, take one or two. Uh, I found one of my cats like around the corner as a kitten. And was like, oh, I'll take you. Uh, that was pretty normal back where the place I was now. The was back then. Now you just go to like your local shelter and
yeah.
get a cat for like $100. Um, but anyway, I love cats. I like cats. I have all the cats. They're not here with me right now in this room like normal, but yes.
Yeah, yeah, you often have a cat in the background as you're recording here.
Not that you can listen to the audio of the cat in the podcast, but you know.
Yeah, yeah. They tend to be pretty quiet. But yeah,
Yes.
no, it's interesting that I mean, I think the thing that this film does incredibly well is we're getting the type of thing that would normally be in like a kids animated movie. There would be, oh, we have the animals and they're all going to have like distinct personalities and they all talk to each other. We have talking animals. I mean, it goes back to even like Bambi, which
Sure, yeah.
Bambi is like a more an odder film than stuff like, I don't know, Ice Age, but it is still very much.
This film probably has more in common with like Madagascar, I think.
Okay. Yeah, since there's like a survival journey of sorts.
Yeah, yeah.
But even then, it's odd to compare it to any of those animated films because it's like, no, it feels very different. Like the pacing is very deliberate. The characters are expressed entirely through animal noises as opposed to any dialogue.
This is a much more successful version of the Star Wars Holiday Special, um, where we don't need subtitles to hear what they're to understand what they're doing, and we don't have
Yeah.
to listen to the Wookiees uh, yell at each other the entire time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's it's fascinating because it goes so counter to so many sort of or like common sense ideas about filmmaking that tend to be used by like bigger studios of, oh, you need to have relatable characters that are speaking lines so the audience can understand them. It's like,
Hmm.
no, you don't. We understand the animals from what we bring into the film, our own understandings of these animals, and then also how they are interacting and what they're doing. Yeah, it's so interesting and so well designed. And yeah, after earlier this year watching the Ice Age movies, it's nice to just have, hey, here is a journey that is not dissimilar to some of the Ice Age movies, but is being
It's
done in a way that is not typical for this type of movie.
it's just animals trying to survive this giant flood. It's
Yeah.
not whatever they're doing in the Ice Age films. Yeah. This is to me this is like a better version of Meltdown.
Yeah,
Although like
yeah.
I like the time aspect of the Meltdown leading to the event. Here you're just fully in the event, which is great. The like okay, the first third of this film is pretty stressful. Of like the
Yeah.
water slowly rising and like the cat trying to get higher. Like the cat meowing at the top of the ear is always very sad, but it's like the water's coming up. It's like, oh no, it's so stressful. Like, no, poor baby cat, what are you doing? Don't
Yeah.
drown. Uh,
Yeah. And then once the capybara shows up, I mean, we there's a bit of relief, but there is also this, the cat doesn't fully trust the capybara, and then there's the scene sort of in this flooded forest area where the cat is getting knocked out of the boat and then gets picked up by a bird, and you're not quite sure what the bird is intending to do with the cat.
sure,
But the
yeah.
bird does end up being the secretary bird that we see later, which is trying to save the cat. Yeah.
And then the cat nearly just drowns trying to
Yeah.
get the fish, which is like even more stressful. uh,
Yeah. But we do eventually reach a point where there is sort of this, where things have kind of, once they get to like the ancient city, and especially on the other side of the ancient city, or I guess maybe the city isn't ancient, the flooded city, we'll do that.
ancient flooded. Yeah, it's old.
Yeah,
It
it's
is
it's weird
ancient in its
because,
own right.
yeah, it's something that has been there for a long time, but because there are no humans in this film, so, and we don't really understand what happened to it, so what happened to the humans, so we don't know if the city was like recently inhabited by humans the way that the cat's house area seems to have been, or if it's been sitting there uninhabited for a while.
Yeah, or the humans moved somewhere else. And
Yeah.
that's like from like in more ancient civilization where the flood just kept coming and going.
But yeah, there does seem to be this or yeah, they establish sort of this sense of normalcy in this boat. You know, the cat is fishing and the various other animals are hanging out, and the secretary bird is navigating, and they're all kind of there's this brief and it's a thing that happens in a lot of sort of post-apocalypse type movies where in the second act is a certain sense of like, okay, we've figured everything out now, we just need to maintain course. um and then of course something goes wrong. In this case, the dogs show up, and then they end up in this big storm with the mountains, which okay, yeah, it's interesting, this goal of the mountains. And we never quite get a sense for what exactly is going on. It's very ambiguous, but I feel like watching this the first time, and I was lucky enough to see this in theaters, but watching this the first time we see the mountains, just the way they are framed, there's a sense of like, oh, we're headed in that direction.
Sure, yeah.
And then once the secretary bird kind of joins the adventure, starts sort of deliberately steering them in that direction. Though once they do get to the mountains, we see that they're surrounded by all of this wreckage from past boats. So there's some sort of current that is pushing all of the water towards these mountains. Um, and then that becomes the bird has some kind of sense of it needs to fly up to the top of the mountain, and then gets taken up by this light, and that stops the flooding. There's something very
Yeah.
spiritual to it, but in a very ambiguous way.
It's a weird way, it's a weird thing to say, but like that's the most out there part of this film about, flood and surviving animals. It's
Yeah.
just the bird just going up to this random peak and deciding I'm gonna go up to heaven now, and everything just happening that way. It's like watching this for the first time. It's just I was so taken aback by it. It was like, wait, what? This is an option? What? I don't know what's going on. um, but it does seem like some part of ritual that kind of has to happen to like impede the waters to go back down in some sense.
Yeah. Yeah, there's this, I mean, again, it feels very much like a spiritual journey for this bird. Um and throughout we're kind of getting these little things of hints of this as some kind of spiritually important journey. We have like the lemur clinging to its possessions and then eventually having to let that go. That feels sort of relevant in some way, even though the lemur doesn't have a direct role in this spiritual stuff. But then yeah,
Mm-hmm.
these like mountains that are impossibly large and sort of jutting out like fingers on a hand.
Yeah, we also got this like very small sense about the history of the land, whereas the history of the humanity of the world is that they kept having to build things at a higher elevation, expecting this flood. They don't show us this at all really in the film, but we do get more taller structures, or just structures built on taller planes as we go along, just leading up to like the giant mountain pillars. Um, which the world is a little confusing, especially when we begin with like the cat's house and there being evidence that people were there relatively recently before a flood.
Yeah.
Because there's papers and there's evidence that there were statue makers. Um, but with the flood, I don't know. I don't know when things happen, but it's just
I yeah. I do think it is meant to be I don't think it is meant to be puzzled out or understood. Like I
sure.
don't think this film is designed in a way that is meant to, and I'm sure people have tried to like theorize about the lore of stuff. I don't think there's that much intentional going on behind it. I think there's a reading you can have of this where the animals are all formerly people who have been transformed into animals.
Okay.
But like again, I don't think that is what an intended, like that's just a potential idea that I had watching it again this time and seeing, you have the cat who is living in this place, is yeah, this sort of cat haven, um and there's no sense of where the humans who live there are. I kind of got the sense that it's like one artist sort of living this like hermit lifestyle, sculpting all of these cats. um and then you have like the lemur sort of clinging on to possessions in this little house that it has. Again, I think that's partially just though that like the animals here are not anthropomorphized to the extent that like the animals in Ice Age are, but these animals are
No.
displaying traits that animals don't have, like the
They can
ability
steer
to
boats.
steer a boat. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it,
The
it
cat
never feels.
almost like standing on two legs at one point,
Yeah.
mimicking the bird.
But it does all feel like within the world of the film it all makes sense. We never get the sense that the animals are going beyond what these animals are capable of. It's all very like just little slight pushes at the logic. um but yeah, we're never getting, the bird isn't making sarcastic quips.
No. Yeah. We don't have that Sid character.
Yeah. I just had the question appear in my head, and I don't know if this is an interesting conversation, but if this were a DreamWorks movie, who would play the different animals?
Oh boy.
I feel like
That's
Kevin
mm,
Hart as the dog, or some
maybe.
comedian as the dog.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The
The
cat, you probably get
capybara
like, oh yeah,
has to be like
capybara.
some chill actor.
What about like Paul Giamatti?
It's the I don't know. Giamatti's a little animated for the capybara.
Okay, maybe yeah,
Yeah.
maybe like a mellow Giamatti. He
Maybe.
just, to me, like visually has capybara energy. Maybe that's why I'm going back to him.
Sure.
um yeah, I feel like the cat, they would get some younger actress, like actress in her 20s, someone like
Kate
Anya
Bishop.
Taylor-Joy. Oh yeah, Haley Steinfeld,
Yeah.
someone of that sort of age range. Secretary Bird, you probably want someone who's that's probably, you get like a respected, like Academy Award winning dramatic actor for the bird,
Hmm.
but not someone older, someone on the slightly younger side.
It's like the Michelle Yeoh character from Transformers.
Yes, okay, Michelle Yeoh could be the Secretary Bird. Actually, no, let's do Lupita Nyong'o.
Mm. Okay.
And then the lemur. The lemur, you could get Kevin Hart to play the lemur.
Oh, no.
Or I
No,
guess
no.
maybe someone a little more manic. I don't know. Maybe like Catherine O'Hara?
Charlie Day.
Charlie Day. Charlie Day. That's perfect
Yeah.
casting there. Flo, a
Chris
DreamWorks
Pratt.
animated film. Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt as the dog. Chris Pratt as the dog.
uh,
Yeah,
Anyway, what are we doing?
yeah, no, it's just fascinating to me that like this is so far away from what any other animation studio would be making.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's just so counter to the things that, and yet it's so successful. Like this is proof that you could make an animated film that you don't need talking animals or dialogue at all to make it compelling. But yeah, we talked briefly about like the cyclical nature that there's this. It's odd because the first time I watched it, I didn't even see the after credits scene, which sort of hints at the cyclical nature of things a little bit more overtly. But yeah, there is this sense that like this kind of flood has maybe happened before and probably will happen again in 50, 100,000 years.
Yeah.
There's some sense of a cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. The time frame of when the flood happens, I don't know, but it happens again. We get like hints of this because there's a boat in the middle of a tree in the beginning of the
Yeah,
film. That's like your first red flag. It's like, oh, what's this? Also, some of like the greenery of the land kind of appears like algae, algae instead
yeah,
of like
yeah,
normal grass. So something growing there. But that would more so be something that would happen recently, and I'm not sure what the time frame of that is. Anyway, that's not
yeah.
important. It's
Which
just
I
like
mean, the we talked about Aqua, which is the short that Zeal Belotus did in high school, which served as the inspiration for this. And in that one, it is an immediate the flood happens immediately after the floodwaters recede. That it is this cycle that happens very quickly. Here, I think it is intentionally ambiguous.
yeah,
But yeah, there is some kind of, and it's communicated entirely without dialogue and entirely without explicitly showing it to us. I think the closest it comes to showing us that is when the cat, like after the cat has rescued the capybara from, or I guess everyone rescued the capybara from the boat, and the deer stampede across. You're like, oh, is the flood starting again?
yeah. There's that brief moment of panic, of
Yeah,
course.
but then that isn't what's actually happening. But we do get the sense that like this isn't the last flood that will happen.
No, Flow 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Flow to hyperflow.
Oh, Power Wash.
Power wash. Flow to power wash. Oh.
OxyClean. I don't know.
But
Anyway,
yeah, I like this. There's even these like repeating symbols and objects that I was noticing. I didn't notice these until this rewatch. I've seen this now. This is my third time watching it. I watched it in theaters and then had a very great experience, which I would highly recommend to anyone, which is watching this with my sister, very who loves cats and is
yeah,
very reactive anytime there is a cat on screen. And so I mean, it was just so much fun watching her reactions to everything in the film, and this poor cat going on this quite harrowing journey when you're watching it with someone who is deeply emotionally invested in everything happening to the cat. Not
sure.
that I wasn't already invested, but the level of investment was great.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. Even just watching the trailer with her was like, okay, yeah, she's gonna really enjoy this one. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, rewatching this, there's so many reflections, and I think watching this after Away, where there is that mirror lake, which is such a phenomenal visual moment, but then seeing here the cat at multiple points sits and contemplates its own reflection. And I'm not sure. I haven't. I would have to rewatch it again to figure out what exactly is going on beyond just the sense that like the cat is sort of contemplating things and thinking about things. But I do think it is significant that in all of those moments of reflection, it does so alone until the final one after it has sort of sat with the whale as the
Hmm.
whale has died, and then sits to look at its own reflection, and then the other animals show up and kind of comfort the cat, and we see all of them in the reflection as well. But then there's also like the mirror, and the mirror being an important object for the lemur. So yeah, there's something going on there. I don't know if it's like an intentional symbol for something specific, or if it's just more of like a repeating visual motif.
I mean, for the cat, you could probably discern something for the cat because the cat has been throughout most of the film like not very trusting of others, being kind of like trying to stick to themselves, being alone, and it's only really towards the end where the cat sees the others as something to be together with.
Yeah.
Something like kind of like Gint's journey of like, I gotta make these films by myself. And then the other animals by the end is like, I guess we're in this together to make this product.
Yeah. Yeah, and it is interesting. He has talked in interviews about how he made Away as sort of a way to learn that all of the different jobs on a film, so that when he's making these other films with a team, he understands all of the various aspects of it a little bit better. Um, and yeah, it's interesting, the interview I listened to him about Away, even when that was coming out in 2019. The interviewer introduced him as a filmmaker and animator, and he said, "Well, actually, I'm more of a filmmaker. Think of myself more as a filmmaker than as an animator. That even though he works in animation and does animation, his ambitions are a little bit wider than just being known as an animator."
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, bringing in this like this self-reflection of the cat. Yeah, it's an interesting idea. And then this is a smaller thing, but I didn't catch on to it until this rewatch, that the glass ball, which the lemur becomes obsessed with in sort of the second act of the film, shows up at the very beginning. It's one of the sort
Oh,
of
you
glass
didn't?
objects that is in the house that then floats by as the cat is on the statue. No, somehow I had just never made the connection that that was the same glass ball that was floating throughout the whole film.
Oh,
Yeah, I just thought it was interesting comparing that to like the turtle in Away, that keeps showing back up and has its own little journey, that you could theoretically have a movie about the glass ball as it is going on its own little adventure. Obviously, it wouldn't be nearly as compelling as these animals since it's not reacting to things, but
mm-hmm.
it has its own sort of arc in here.
Yeah.
And yeah, I have one more thing which I wasn't sure where to put, but I do want to make sure we're done talking about the story before I get into that.
Sure. Yeah. The 10 minutes at the opening of the film.
Yeah, this is. I feel like people who don't have experience watching independent films, and specifically independent films out of Europe, will be very taken aback by the first 2 minutes of this film, which are the logos for the various animation production studios and film financiers and government bodies that helped fund and create this film. Um, I think this might be the longest studio logo thing that I have seen, and I've seen some pretty long ones because I do watch um, independent films and European independent films, which tend to have a lot of financiers and film lotteries and various things that are contributing money to this. Um, it's always funny to me imagining, because of course there's Cinema Sins, the YouTube channel of questionable critical validity. They'll often point out, oh, this movie has 5 seconds of logos. It's like 10 seconds of logos, 15 seconds. It's like, no, those are rookie numbers. You haven't seen Flow, which starts with 2 minutes of, it is literally 2 minutes.
Yes, well, CinemaSins is never to be taken seriously.
Yeah, yeah.
They even admit to that themselves, which people seem to forget. Yeah, no, it was really funny just watching all these logos. It is certainly the most logos I've ever seen in a film. But it's very entertaining to look at reaction videos to this film and seeing all the reactors come to like the opening of the film and them just freaking out over all the many logos. It's like, oh my gosh, what is this film starting? um,
uh,
yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
think it's like, I mean, obviously they have to. They are receiving money, or these are production studios that are contributing to the animation, so it is necessary that they put these logos here. I just think it is kind of funny to imagine the an audience who is more familiar with the DreamWorks style of where it's, one logo and the logo is maybe 15 seconds long, to sit down for this.
it's it's kind of like absurdly long in a sense. I don't know. Have you seen Spaceballs?
I have not, no.
No, it reminds me like the opening of Spaceballs, where the opening of Spaceballs is just like a parody of the Star Wars opening, and it's just like absurdly long. The crawl goes on forever. The reveal of the Star Destroyer ship goes on forever. It's just something like that, where it's like absurdly long.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I,
I
I
gave the
think it
story a
yeah.
4.
I gave the story here a 4.5. I think it's just like what it is able to do and communicate without any dialogue, and the complex social dynamics it's able to explore, and these weird like spiritual aspects and the cyclical like it's just so fascinating and feels so fully
Sure.
realized.
Yeah, it doesn't quite capture my attention the entire time. There's like a small moment where you kind of get used to it, that you kind of start to zone out a little bit, and then it goes into the third act. Or even just like the weirdness of the spiritual aspect that just kind of takes you out. But yeah, it's still a really solid story. Really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting. This came out around the same time as The Wild Robot, which is another film that I
Yeah.
really enjoy. And very different. And it's interesting, their difference is that The Wild Robot is actually a talking animal movie. And I know there's like a conflict between the two. I love both of these films very much. I do, if I'm thinking back on it, The Wild Robot, I'm more emotionally attached to the story in it and to the characters, just because the dialogue, there's themes that resonate a little bit more with me in that one. But Flow, I mean, manages to get most of the way there for me without any dialogue. So,
Right. I'm here for the
yeah.
cat. I care about what happens to the
No,
cat. Do I care about the lemur's insecurities? No. I care if the cat survives.
yeah,
Anyway,
which we
speak.
could get into the cat here. Just a phenomenal character to center this movie around.
Oh yeah.
Like the decision to make this about a cat, which goes back to the short that Zilba Lotus did in high school, is just like
Aqua.
so intelligent,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because people have these like, I mean, the idea of, cat videos, and cats are very popular as animals, but they're also very like enigmatic. They're very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
So
It,
having this centered around the cat, like if this were a dog movie, it would be a very different feeling movie.
yes, it would. I wouldn't care as much because it's not
Yeah,
a
no,
cat.
I do think even just like I'm more of I don't have pets and I don't particularly feel the need to ever have pets. That's more work that I want to put into that type of thing. But I do tend to be more of a dog person, but centering this on a cat is just so smart because the cat is so compelling of a central figure. Like I don't think I would care about this as much if this were about a dog, and I love dogs. But because the cat is so like the way the cat is interacting with things, and we get a sense for the cat's thought processes as it's doing these various things, and its sort of distrust for the animals around it. It's a very introverted character,
Yeah.
but yeah, in a way that is expressed entirely visually. And then we get the arc of the cat learning to then trust all of these other animals, and yeah, it's just a very smart decision to center this around the cat.
Hmm.
And yeah, the cat is constantly doing very cat-like things. I like how much of this movie is, hey, here's a thing that cats do. We're just gonna spend, a minute watching the cat do cat things. Or here's a little montage of the cat interacting with the other animals, and the lemur's tail is hanging down off of the um little raised part of the ship, and the cat starts grabbing at it and trying to swat at it the way a cat does a piece of yarn or string. And then
Hmm.
we have like the dog trying to imitate the cat, and the cat being very annoyed by that. It's just like, again, the DreamWorks version of this movie doesn't do any of that stuff because it's too busy with quippy one-liners and, I don't know, some plot about an evil villain
Yeah,
or
and
something.
some like reference to like social media or pop culture or something.
Yeah.
Um, but no, this just feels like a cat. It just feels like a cat doing cat stuff, and other
Yeah.
animals doing their stuff, trying to survive the boat and water and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's again so smart in how it's approaching this. Um but yeah, we also have the dog who is sort of the optimist here, just kind of wants to have fun and for everyone around it to have fun in a way that then becomes an issue because it doesn't recognize the danger that bringing these other dogs on the boat is going to present to the other animals. That
Yeah.
it's, it's other friends. It definitely feels like that. The thing where someone in a friend, or like, yeah, I'm trying to think of a good. The dog is kind of like a jock, but like a well-meaning jock, and the other dogs are kind of like the sports team that's very toxic and self-serving, and the dog doesn't fully realize that that is the situation it is in until it brings those friends together with its new friends. It's like, oh, my old friends are kind of bad, but
Sure.
there's not like
Yeah.
a moral judgment of it because these are animals who are trying to survive. I guess there is some moral judgment of it, but yeah, it's not presented as like the other dogs are the big evil villain.
No. They just act on instinct, you know. They see a
Yeah.
rabbit and it's like, ah, we gotta chase the rabbit. Let's go get it.
Yeah.
Um,
And I like the moment of the dog making the decision to stay with the other animals. And I like that it's a very quick decision. Like it looks away for a second and like, should I go? And then the dog's like, of course not. I'm not going to go chase. I have my friends here and they need me. Yeah, I really liked the dog's arc
mhm,
here.
sure, yeah. It's a Labrador. It's
Yep,
Mr. Peanut Butter.
it is. Though slightly nicer.
Is Mr. Peanut Butter not that nice?
That 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 is maybe a conversation. I This has nothing to do with flow. I think Mr.
No,
Peanut Butter presents as nice in a way that he isn't actually. I think he thinks of himself as nice, but the stuff that he does throughout the series is not always particularly nice,
of course.
especially in like the later seasons. But yeah, anyway,
Hmm.
the capybara, the glue that's kind of holding this group together. It is always trying to mediate the conflict and bring other people on board and trying to look out for everyone. Like when it pulls the bananas down onto the boat, this like branch full of bananas, and is like to the cat, motions to it like, hey, here's some food, have some food. The cat's like, oh, I can't eat that, but thanks.
Yeah, and the capybara being the one that's trying to save every animal it can, like forcing the lemur
Yeah,
onto the boat when the water's gonna
yeah,
overtake its home. Yeah,
yeah.
just
It's
the
a very
homeboy.
like sweet. Yeah.
Yep,
uh
he's a homie.
the one interesting thing about watching this with my sister is she did not like the capybara. I think since she was so emotionally invested with the cat, and the cat is a little bit distrustful of the capybara to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, the first time watching, I didn't really see what the capybara was doing a lot of the time. It was just like, oh, guess he wants that lemur's junk. I didn't understand it as like he's trying to save the lemur. I thought it's like, oh, he's stealing his
Okay.
stuff. Okay. Um,
I I just in my head I have this vision of capybaras as like very friendly animals. So I think for me I was interpreting that as altruistic. Whereas like, yeah, now that you bring it up, because there is, and that is the interesting thing about the ambiguity here, that we don't understand any of the animals' motivations until we like yeah, there's a certain ambiguity to the intentions of all of the animals.
sure. Yeah. If you're not always like paying attention to like the smaller stuff, because if you're just
Yeah.
focused on one thing, you're not gonna notice. Like, first time around, like I'm focused on the cat. I didn't understand the motivations of the other ones quite as immediately, so I kind of missed some subtext that when rewatching some stuff was like, ah, okay, that's the capybara's deal. Cool, got it. He's such a chill dude. Um,
Yeah.
Whereas I didn't really have much thought about it the first time. So, yeah.
Yeah, we also have the lemur, who I think has the most overt arc here. Um Very attached to sort of these material things, which makes sense because they seem to hold some kind of importance in the lemur's culture. When we see other lemurs show up, they all have various different objects that they have taken to, and the lemur is showing off the mirror, and the other lemurs are very impressed with it until the cat hisses at them.
Mm.
And then eventually, once
Um,
the floodwaters recede, the lemur has kind of like established, it's even sitting on, I guess it's like more of a lectern, but it has been turned into this throne with our hero lemur. Um, holding this mirror and having all of the other lemurs around it. Um, but then it ends up
Yeah.
like leaving that all behind for the sake of its friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The lemur runs, a post-apocalyptic pawn shop, collecting anything and everything.
Yeah.
A traveling salesman.
But it
Yeah.
is very protective of its various objects.
Yeah.
It does bring to mind the sort of I can't think of any specific examples, but in that sort of the apocalypse movie sense of the person who just can't let go,
Hmm.
but then
Right.
does eventually make this intentional decision of like, hey, my friends maybe need me.
I do feel like the lemur's turn is a little quick at the end.
Okay.
I wish we had like a moment of it thinking more instead of just showing right back up with the cat. But we're
Yeah.
following the film from the cat's perspective, so
I
you
think
know.
I think we do get like a little moment of the lemur like looking into the mirror and kind of this sense of self-reflection. But I can see where maybe a little bit longer might might have helped with that selling that
Right.
decision.
Yeah.
And yeah, I am curious because I always kind of interpret it as the lemur maybe fell out of the boat, but there is definitely, since the lemur seems to know where the boat is, that it might have actually abandoned the boat and like run off, either leaving the others in danger or not realizing how much danger they were in. But then
Something.
it does go back. Yeah, yeah. There
Yeah.
is this like little moment of when it's leading the cat back to where the boat was, that it points out where the boat used to be, and it's like, wait, the boat's not there, where is it? And then looks up, oh, it's in the tree, that's not good. But yeah, then we have the secretary bird, who has a somewhat like altruistic streak. Like, it rescues the cat
Mm-hmm.
from the water, and then eventually, like when they land on this island, stands up for the cat to the other birds and ends up being injured because of it. And yeah, this is the character that has sort of the a closer connection to the cat. Like, the cat and the bird have this understanding. I kind of interpret it as like they're the two introverts in a group of extroverts, and so a lot of their time together is just like sitting in silence. And the secretary bird has almost like an older sibling relationship with the cat,
Sure.
of like the cat looks up to it and has respect for it and is trying to sort of emulate it.
Mm-hmm.
The bird is does have a certain fondness for the cat, but is also like, in the social dynamics of the boat, the bird has a very clear goal in mind and doesn't think super fondly of the other animals. Like, it has a certain amount of respect for the capybara, since the capybara is sort of the glue that's holding it together, but it doesn't care for the dog or the lemur all that much, or doesn't seem to.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, unlike the cat, it doesn't really come around to the other animals as much. It has the moment of when all of the other animals are entreating it to let the dogs on board, and the secretary bird's like, well, I don't want to do this, so I'm just gonna, you can do whatever you want, and I'm gonna go chill in my corner.
Yeah, and it doesn't really do that until the cat tells it to.
Yeah.
Um, but we do get the sense like the bird is the most skilled out of all of them. It
Yes, the most skilled
expertly
navigator.
it expertly pilots the boat
Yes. Yeah.
through like the thin city, like avoiding stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it has the most skill with this thing, and then when the capybara is trying to navigate it has a little more difficulty doing it.
Sure. Yeah. Then they break the steering, so
Which I think at that point there wasn't much that anyone could have done because they're
right.
in this
Yeah.
big storm. That yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, we do get the sense of like the social dynamics at play on this boat, the way the different animals feel about each other, and the sort of leadership structure. Yeah, it's just very interesting. And then it has this like the bird somehow feels this pull to go towards the mountains. And I don't the film isn't obviously is very ambiguous on this, but how much it knows what it's doing. If this is instinctual, if this is intentional. I mean, we don't even fully understand what happens to the bird in the mountains, just that it gets swallowed up by some kind of light, and that ends the flooding.
That's the second bird to save the day in Gint's films.
Yeah, there is this like and there are so many repeating motifs throughout his films that are very interesting. But yeah, the bird is has some kind of and it is similarly designed to the stuff in a way that
It's the out there moment where the
yeah,
bird
yeah.
goes into like this spiraling heavenly thing to dispel the force of something that causes harm to the others.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. And again, I like the ambiguity. I like
It's
that we
weird.
don't know for sure.
It's weird.
I do think that is the moment that like that is a make or break moment for the film. Either you are on board with it enough to go along with it, or that's the moment where the film loses you.
I think I lost my mom there. Or honestly, I think the film lost my mom like from the beginning because it's like a film, no dialogue, just animals doing their stuff. Looks like a
Yeah.
video game, and my mom's just there because I'm there. So, yep,
Yeah, yeah.
it's certainly a film.
We also have the whale, which also seems
The
to have some
whale.
sort of spiritual purpose to playing on all of this. But it's showing up at certain moments to save the cat, and then eventually also the rest of the group when it does the big splash that gets them dislodged from the tree.
Hmm.
That it has some sort of connection to this journey, that it's going along with them. But then, yeah, then we get to the ending and it's very bittersweet because the floodwaters have receded and everyone is okay. And then the cat comes across the whale that is um, slowly dying because it can't breathe. It is now been beached in this forest.
Mm, yeah.
And we have this very sad moment of the cat is like without saying anything is like, hey, I can't save you the way you saved me. Like I'm not big enough or strong enough to carry you to the water, but I will just sit here with you. And
Hmm.
like nuzzles up against the whale.
Pretty sad.
Yeah, yeah. But it is like we then get the moment of I like that it isn't a clean resolution. Right? There is a trade-off here. It's not just like,
Yeah.
oh, the cat and all of the other animals are fine and everything's great and they all have a dance party.
It's like,
That there
nope,
is this little bit, yeah.
we have a funeral and a wake
Yeah,
for a whale and a bird.
yeah. But then all of the other animals do come together and have this moment of, hey, we made it.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we basically, I mean, the other dogs show up and
Yeah.
are
They
very
are
self-serving.
they are dogs. They are impulsive.
Yeah. They provide a good counterpoint to sort of the way that the other animals treat each other, where
Hmm.
the other animals are learning to trust and do things for the others and help the others out, whereas the dogs are very self-serving.
They certainly get around as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting that all of these creatures are showing up at multiple points along the journey. That the
Hmm.
whale and the dogs are coming back. And even the deer show up multiple times.
Yeah, how the deer survives, I don't know.
I I wouldn't be surprised if they just like made it to higher ground and it was high enough that they, because there does seem to be like ground that was not, but I also think that like the bird sacrificing itself kind of restores the world in a sense. And like one of the things I noticed is that when the cat's walking around there are bug noises, like bug chirping and that kind of stuff. So there is a sense that like whatever sense of normalcy there is has been reestablished, and that maybe includes animals that were previously not, that might not have made it before, are now back in some strange sense.
That could also just be an audio engineer error
Oh,
of,
okay.
oh, we need to have these luscious bug noises because that's the sound of nature. It happened in something else I was watching recently. I don't know if it was either this or something else Gintz did, but I remember distinctly that there were bug noises when there should not have been bug noises.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, maybe.
Don't,
I
don't
think
recall
because
what it was.
we also see the rabbit and all of the lemurs. So, I mean, maybe all of those things survived. That's probably the most likely thing. But I do think there is
Mhm.
this sense of like we have returned to a pre-flood time. But yeah, that's not really important. I think the characters here, I mean, what's fascinating is we are getting such clear characterization without any dialogue. So yeah, I gave the characters. Actually, I'm gonna bump this up. I'm gonna give the characters a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, and I gave the characters a 4.
Yeah, now to the visuals. This is
Visuals.
such a step up from Away. We're seeing what Zeobalotus can do. Like Away is what he could do by himself. This is what he can do with more years of experience and a team to back him up.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Yeah,
it's more complex in every way. We have like movement that feels so much more natural here. All of the animals move in ways that work
I mean,
visually.
the cat is amazing movement
Yeah.
wise. Like, there's so many like little things. And I'm like, yes, that's a cat movement. That's like a cat movement. That's what the cat does when it looks that way. Oh, that's what a cat does when it's like freaked out by something. Like, yep, perfect. You're doing cats correctly. Um,
Yeah.
like here, yeah, we finally do what I was hoping that Gintz did with the way. It's like, oh yeah, we have shading, we have lighting and shadows. I can tell what part of the body that is. Oh, it's great. Um, in a way that stylistically makes it like, again, even more like a video game. In this case, something like Breath of the Wild, the recent Zelda games that have
Yeah,
this
yeah.
distinctive art style, which we have commented before in other stuff where we says like, oh, we kept waiting for to pick up our controller to play this cat game.
Yeah, which I will say the more I watch this and the more of Zilbalotus's work that I watch, the less I feel that. I do think that is something that I have become more accustomed to the style here. But it does like, yeah, I'm still kind of in the back of my mind thinking of like Untitled Goose Game or
Sure. like it still takes a second to adjust and be like, oh
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
yes, this is the style we're going with.
yeah.
And once you're in it, you're in it. Even if you're noticing things like, oh yep, that's interesting shading technology, that's for sure.
But yeah, I do think like watching this after seeing Away and seeing the level of quality that has gone into this and the upgrade. I mean, the textures are more interesting, the effects work, like the water looks really good. Where in a way the water
Oh
looked
yeah.
really bad. Here
Yeah.
it does
Yeah.
yeah. We're actually
Oh
seeing
yeah.
water act like water does. And water is so difficult to do. I have thought in the past if I were, and maybe I'll have to do it anyway, but if I were smarter about talking about animation, it would be interesting to do just a study of animated water because it can be so different. And here we're getting like very very well realized water. I mean, it is still, there are limitations here. They are working in Blender, which is free software, and I don't know if you watched the video I sent to you, um, but it's a YouTuber who's talking about the animation here used in Flow, and there are sort of two. I believe it's rendering. There are two different ways you can render stuff in Blender, and one of them is very high quality but takes a long time, and the other one is a little bit lower quality but does it very quickly. And so for here to save time, I assume they're doing the lower quality version. So the fact that it looks so good is very impressive. That they're able
Mm.
to, with the limitations, work and make this look very very good. And yeah, we're getting more interesting lighting. We're getting actual vegetation. Like in a way, there is very little like grass. It's mostly just flat textures,
Yeah,
and
it's like
occasionally there will be
green
like
colored
something. But
rock formation, essentially.
yeah, a lot of moss covered stone in lieu of like
Sure, yeah.
actual grass.
Yeah.
Which here there is some like, I think that is partially an aesthetic choice, because there is some good moss covered stone that I appreciated here, since that's an aesthetic that I very much like. Um, but yeah, we're getting, it's a bit more complex. It's a bit more, yeah, I guess complex is the word that I was going for. I can't think of a synonym that will add anything that
Sure.
complex does it already add.
Yeah, and all the like the abandoned locations are very interesting to see. Like the giant cat
Yeah,
statues was like, ah, pretty nifty, cool, interesting.
yeah,
I want to know the history of those statues. It's like, ah, who built that? They must have really loved cats.
yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating and really well designed. And the ancient city just looks, or I guess again I keep calling it an ancient city. For some reason in my head it like registers as an ancient city. Um but yeah, this city looks so good. The mountains, the like little monasteries on the mountains are very interesting. Yeah, it's so well
Mm.
designed, so well animated. The complexity. Again, what is so exciting to me about this is seeing that Zeobalotus is able to level up as a creator. That Away wasn't a one off, and that Flow isn't a one off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I just had another thing I was gonna say, but I have lost it.
Well, that's a shame.
It is. It is. We'll see if I can think of it again later. But yeah, no, the visuals here are just really impressive for what this is, for the budget, for the limitations. Oh,
Yeah,
that's what I was going to
I
say. That this has the same style as Away. That Zilba Lotus is bringing in his sort of his longer takes, his more handheld style of cinematography here. That we're seeing that come back, and he talked about how like there are certain shots in this that go on for 5 minutes, and that's very
mm,
uncommon even in animation where it is easier to do. I think that we talked about it a bit, I think, when we talked about Away, but that does kind of make this feel more like a video game, since that's generally where you're going to see longer unbroken is when you're playing a
True.
video game.
Very much
But
true.
it works so well. Yeah. It just like the pacing of everything. It's slower, but it really works.
Mm-hmm. That boat doesn't run out of gas, so.
Yeah, that's a smart narrative decision to set this on a boat instead of a motorcycle. There is still like the sailing part of it. I don't know how much the sail is contributing. I do think like having this implication that it's the currents are actually what's pulling it towards the mountain. I think that helps a little bit explaining how it is propulsed.
Sure, yeah.
But yeah, I gave the visuals a 4.5 out of 5. I think that's the same I gave Away. I think I may be over, but again, Away is such a phenomenal achievement for a single person, and this is such a phenomenal achievement for a relatively small team working on limited resources. But that is like going beyond what Away was able to do.
Mm-hmm. And I give it a 3.8. It's really well done, but it does take me like a second or two to get used to the style. So, yeah.
On to performances. Of course, we have Paya Khan from Avatar: The Way of Water appearing as the whale.
Yeah. They got a lot of really good animal noises, especially for the cat.
Yes, yes. It is interesting. I guess this is more sound design because they aren't really performances. We didn't give this
What?
performance scores,
What are you talking
but they
about? The
did.
cat is performing like it's life out there, It's sad, it's like scared.
Yeah. That's I do think it is with animal performances. It's less performance and more reaction. I guess that can often be true with like kid performances as well. But yeah, it's the cat is not doing a good job performing cat noises. The cat is making cat noises, and the audio engineer is capturing those noises. I guess when like
Yeah.
Robin Williams as the genie in Aladdin, that is kind of what they're doing there as
Well,
well. Where Robin Williams is just
well,
kind of riffing and they have a microphone in front of him, but he is like actually performing a story there as well.
of course. Yeah.
Now I'm trying to
All
think
right.
of what animated movie performances are actually just they put a mic in front of someone and hit record the way that they would
That
for the
was
cats here.
Finding Nemo with Dory. There was that story, wasn't there?
Okay. I am not familiar with this. That they just put a
You
mic in
told
front
me
of
the
Ellen
story
DeGeneres.
where
Oh, I
they
told you
brought
the
in Ellen
story.
DeGeneres. Yeah. And that's how
Okay.
they came up with the plot of the film. It's like, Ellen, she's do fish noises. It's like, all right, we got our plot. Anyway, sound.
Yeah, sound is very good across the board.
Yes.
Again, the animal noises, like they're using, um, they are bringing in like an actual dog and an actual cat. For the capybara, they actually recorded a baby camel because they couldn't get a
Oh.
capybara to make the noises that they wanted it to make. But it fits. Like you don't think, oh, that doesn't sound like a capybara. You're like, oh no, that seems like what a capybara would sound like.
Unless you're a capybara enthusiast and you're like, what the
Yeah,
heck was that?
yeah. I think they do make some noises, but I don't know if they make that much noise. But it works for what the film is doing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
with the secretary bird steering things around, it's something that it's an unreality that we can accept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, of course, the music adding to the tension of everything
Yeah.
and the whimsy of the cat and the animals interacting.
Yeah, I really like the music as well. I gave
Yeah.
the sound here a 4.5 out of 5.
And I give it a 3.5, which leaves me with a total score of 19.125, which is a 76.5% or a 3.825 5-star rating.
Yep. And I have a 23.125 out of 25, which is a 92% or a 4.6 out of 5 stars. I should say it's technically not the total here, since I did make it so that the the um the total fits within our scoring system of out of 25 points. But
Ah.
yeah, anyway, that just makes the math easier for later.
Oh, sure. Yeah. For later. Yeah.
Yep. But
I
yeah, no,
mean, there's
this
no
is
need
I,
for a ranking since we have two films. And
yeah.
obviously, one film scored higher than the other.
Yep.
Um, I think I mentioned that I think I prefer the experience and story of Away, but I love the cat from Flow and
Yeah.
the
I think
concept of it as well.
Away has a better sort of sense of narrative propulsion, where we have a clearer goal and we have a clearer threat from earlier on. Whereas
Yeah,
Away or Flow is more, we're learning the social dynamics and we're seeing this sort of survival story that then becomes a quest.
yeah, and everything surrounding it is just like very improved. Like we said, the
Yeah.
animation and the like. So yeah,
I did want to briefly, because I am very much an Oscars nerd, so I did want to briefly talk about Oscar.
yeah, of
Because this is
course.
this is the time we haven't really had time to talk Oscar on this podcast. Usually the stuff we're talking about doesn't get any recognition from Oscar. But yeah, no, this is fascinating that this won Best Animated
Oh,
Feature. This is by far the lowest budget film to have won Best Animated Feature. The first film from Latvia to have won, I think, pretty much any feature award. Um, one of the few animated features to have been nominated for Best International Feature, which is kind of cool that it got two nominations. But yeah, it was up against some stiff competition because The Wild Robot also had multiple nominations in different categories and was very well liked. And
mm-hmm.
The Wild Robot fits more within the types of things that the category tends to go for. So having Flow, kind of this David and Goliath type story with Flow, which again, I love The
Yeah.
Wild Robot and I love Flow. I am glad that Flow won, even though
Oh
if I'm
yeah.
ranking them, I would put The Wild Robot ahead of Flow.
I can't put any input there, but
It just feels like, so for a bit of history, the best animated feature category is actually relatively new. The first one was given out in 2002,
mm-hmm.
of course honoring the films of 2001. That went to Shrek, and the
Yeah.
second one went to Spirited Away. And from that point on, Disney and Pixar, if you combine them together, since they are often together, have never lost three in a row until Flow won. That between Disney and Pixar, I mean, it's insane. In the 2010s, out of 10 possible awards, Disney and Pixar won 8. There were only two non-Disney, non-Pixar films that won in the 2010s,
Mm-hmm.
which were Rango and Spider-Verse. That through the history of this category, it has been, and I mean, Pixar dominated the category in the 2000s. They won, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 2000s awards out of, I think, 9 possible. Um, and then even like in the 2020s, we saw Soul won in 2021, Encanto in 2022. But then there seems to have been this shift, starting with Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which won in 2023. Was then followed by The Boy and the Heron, kind of a surprise win in 2024, beating out Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. That was the year when Disney kind of messed up. Their only nominee was Elemental, which was
Uh-huh.
never going to win. Um,
Right.
and then this last year where Moana 2 didn't get a nomination, Inside Out 2 was the Disney representation of the year. Um, yeah, it's been interesting because this is a category that historically has skewed towards Hollywood animation, big mainstream blockbusters for kids. Um, it's often thought of as the category that voters would vote for whatever movie their grandkids liked.
Yeah.
I think
Hopefully,
I think
with the new
especially like
rule
yeah,
they introduced, where of course, the people have to actually watch the films, all the
yeah,
films before voting. Which some of them have admitted that like they'll press play and then leave it playing in the other room, which is,
which yeah, but
can't be
that's
helped.
yeah, yeah. I do think like I mean there are so many egregious examples throughout the year. I mean, um, the Boss Baby getting a nomination over like the Lego Batman movie.
Huh.
But even stuff like Big Hero 6, which isn't a bad movie, but it won over um the Box Trolls, which yeah, we did our review
Yeah.
of that is but probably better than Big Hero 6, Song of the Sea, and Tale of Princess Kaguya. One of the best animated films
Ah,
just from an animation perspective. And it lost to Big
right.
Hero 6.
Yeah,
Like,
that is
what are
a
we doing
thing.
here? Whereas now I do think if this were race were happening, 10 years later, I do think Princess Kaguya probably would have won because there has been a shift in the culture of the category that has allowed. I mean, yeah, Flo winning is just absolutely phenomenal, very exciting. I think it means good things for the Academy, for Oscar, but also for animation in general. Like Flo getting this level of success is proof that you don't need to be DreamWorks or Disney to be successful in animation. Yeah, I'm excited to see what comes out of this, both for Zio Balotis and for other animators, taking a chance and using. I mean, Flow is made in Blender.
Yeah,
Anyone can download Blender on their computer right now.
yeah. There's a lot of amazing Blender animators who do random stuff, but then you
Yeah,
have the people who make video game trailers. Like, I'm hoping for the day where those people make a feature film that costs like
yeah,
$1 billion to make because it looks so good. Um,
yeah. No, it's exciting. The
yeah.
existence of Flow and its success feels like it could be very significant.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's all I have to say about Oscar
And that's pretty much all we have for Gint stuff, which
for now.
fun little thing we did.
Yeah,
Glad I got to go through the stuff. I wasn't really sure if I was going to enjoy his other stuff, but no, I did. This was a fun time.
yeah. No, I feel like I have a much better understanding of him as a filmmaker than I did going into this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And yeah, very excited for his next film, whenever that may be.
Ooh, yeah. In that case, thank you everyone for listening, and make sure to follow us on social media. We're Binging Barbie Podcast on Instagram and Tumblr, Binging Barbie and Blue Sky and Serialized, and Binging Barbie a Barbie Movie Podcast and Letterboxd. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a 5-star review and go to our Patreon at patreon.com/Binging Barbie Podcast. Meow. Wow.
Meow. Meow.
Wow.
Meow.
Wow.
Woof, woof.
Wow.
Oh. Ah. Chirp, chirp. Lemur noises.
Ooh.